We are at the Putnam County Fair. We're in their animal barn, petting zoo. We are set up here demonstrating making brooms. Well, this is a family business. It's my wife and I. We call ourselves Susan Skip Peaks Brooms. Our farm is Taletam Hollow. We live in Kentucky. We make brooms, we make brushes, socks, salves, all types of fine crafts and art. Well, we grow some of the straw, but we can't grow enough. You can only get about 100 brooms per acre. Well, you would start out, we use a product, we call, if you bought the seed, you'd buy broom corn seed. It's really a type of a sorghum. This is the seed head of the sorghum plant. What we normally do is once you get your broom corn, and if I'm making a brush, I'm going to make a handle out of the material. Or if I use my kick winder, I'm going to put the material onto a broom stick itself. I'm making the stick. I learned how to do this at John C. Campbell Folk School to tie Appalachian style, and later, 4 or 5 years later, I come up with a kick winder, which is a replica of a late 1700s broom making machine. And as you can see, so I'm making my handle. And then I would weave so it looked like that. And this is using the stalk of the broom corn. This is the hurl of the broom corn, the seed head. So when you buy this, you buy it by the pound, and so you don't want to waste anything. You use all the materials that you can instead of throwing it away. Now this one is tied flat, shaker style, but it's also tied Appalachian style, the way I was taught how to make a broom in John C. Campbell Folk School. Now when the material comes off the stalk, this is the stalk of the plant, this is the hurl, the seed head, and your shaker style brooms, usually they cut it off and they grade your straw, and they grade it from 12 inches to 22 inches. Or you can make a broom tied with the stalk, like this one is, the stalk is still attached to the hurl. Okay, we do color our brooms. We do that in our barn. My wife does the dyeing. I can tell when she gets the color she wants because I can hear a giggle from her. And she writes down her formula, and that way she can do it again. She does the blending, and she'll even tell me what color to stitch them. The kick winder was developed, I say, like up in the New England states. It was patented in the late 1700s. Kick winder because I use my foot for the power. And later on, then they'd put a motor on it, and then they'd just call it a winder or an electric winder. When I was taught how to make brooms, I was taught with a stick and put the wind the string around the stick, put it in between my feet and roll. Where this one, we developed out of the school desk using some Lazy Susans and some broom handles. And this way I can do the tension with my feet instead of pulling up.
My name is Susan Peak. I took my first broom making class in the Ozark Mountains in 1992. And there I sat at a desk very similar to what I'm sitting in front of today. And I had a cylinder with string wrapped around it, and I tied a hand whisk. So it's been a few years that we've been making brooms, but not as full-time as we have in the past 10 to 13 years. It takes about 45 minutes to tie a broom on a kick winder, but that does not include the time that it takes to bundle, dye, and grade your broom corn. We start with a full-size broom. A finished broom weighs 1 pound. You have a ½ pound of 16-inch hurl, a ¼ pound of 18-inch hurl, and we finished with a ¼ pound of dyed hurl. The dyeing process takes place in our barn. I make my own formulas. I dye one color, 1 day, and then it takes 3 days for it to dry or cure before I can bundle it. After I bundle it in quarter-pound packs, I then will take several packs and blend the many different blends that we have. There's only a few that we do over and over again, and it's quite consistent. One is Circus, one is Philadelphia, and the other is Surprise. So those are most frequently asked for by our blacksmith friends and others that buy our brooms in a larger quantity, because they do sell very well. The broomstick actually determines the price of our broom. This is a commonly used dowel handle. If we use a walking stick, then we add $5 to our price. And that's just for debarking, sanding, and varnishing. But if we have to enjoy the outdoors and walk through the woods to find a twisted stick, then we add another $5. And this takes hours to pull out the vine, sand, again, debark, and prep it with a polyurethane or a varnish. Our dye is a vegetable dye or a floral dye. It does not grow in a field that is, the seeds are not spread, a wide spread, or it's actually in a row. You have to walk down each row, and you have to break the seed head down so that it hangs. Therefore, that allows the stalk to be straight. If it bends over, it's very difficult to package and store in a barn, but once it's dry, you can hang it upside down and it stays nice for at least 2 years. Once the soil is warm in your garden spot, you can plant the sorghum seed, generally around Mother's Day, and then your first harvest will be in September. There again, you have to break the stalk, let it hang for 2 weeks, and then the stalk can be cut and brought into the barn. You may even get a second cutting, and that is if we have a lot of rain in the spring, May and June. It tends to bolt with a warm July, and if it's cut in July, then you may get more sprouts coming up, and you may have a recut in September or October. But again, the process is the same. You need to break the seed head down, let it hang for 2 weeks, and then it can be cut and stored. And do they fly? Yes, they can. It's up to the operator. We suggest not going over 10 foot or beyond 10 miles an hour.